Hey, family, and welcome back to Talk 30 to Me, where we explore life's realest transitions, toughest truths, and wildest transformations in your 30s. Today's episode is a check-in, not just with your calendar or your career, but with you. We're talking about mental health, self-care, and resilience in a world that doesn't always make room for rest. Because let's be honest, sometimes I'm fine. It's just code for I'm holding on by a thread. I've got three powerful, beautiful minds joining me today to talk about what it really means to protect your peace, choose yourself, and heal out loud. Let's get in. Let's meet today's guests. First up is Dr. Bryant Kelly, a clinical psychologist who has dedicated his career to unlearning the silence that's been killing us softly. Welcome, Dr. Kelly.
Thank you, Robert. Always an honor to be in conversations like this. We all need them.
Also on the show, Rosa Martinez, a wellness coach and survivor-turned-advocate who now facilitates healing circles for women in Detroit. Welcome, Rosa.
Thank you for having me. Mental health isn't just personal, it's community care.
And finally, Tay Maxwell, a creative who's no stranger to high-functioning anxiety, burnout, and the journey back to self. Tay, welcome.
Grateful to be here. Healing isn't linear, but it's worth the work.
All right, let's start here. Can each of you share a mental health challenge you faced and how you've addressed it?
I spent years telling myself I was okay because I was productive, but eventually, my body said otherwise. I developed chronic migraines from repressed emotion. It wasn't until I stopped performing wellness and started living it that I really healed.
Postpartum hit me like a wave I didn't see coming. I felt ashamed for struggling. It was community that saved me. Other mothers, my abuela, and a therapist who didn't look through me, but saw me.
My anxiety hid behind achievement. I thought burnout was a badge of honor. I had to learn that rest isn't earned, it's essential. Now, I give myself permission to pause.
I see y'all are starting right out the gate, so I'm going to go back to what Dr. Kelly said about feeling you were okay or telling yourself that you were okay because you were being productive. That's a big one for me, but less so much me telling myself that I was okay because I was productive. But I'm going to say my community, but it's definitely specific people who tied my essence and my being to my productivity. So as long as I was coming to work on time and playing the employment game and, existing in the space and obviously taking a check home, that I was okay. And that everything could be, and no disrespect to prayer or church, but prayed or wished or just through time, it would go away. But I really do believe that a large portion of my community's responses being rooted and grounded in that was just about a lack of information and knowledge, because a good portion of those people now may not necessarily believe in the effects of therapy, but they definitely do believe in burnout, self-care, and of course they are people of a certain age. So, their rationale will be, that's how they grew up. That's what they know. Which even in my 30s, I processed as a cop-out, and very lazy. Because if I'm the younger generation and I'm adapting to the times in the world, like, what the fuck are you doing? Why do you get to lazily rely on, yesteryear? I mean, because yesteryear, wasn't your mom and your daddy beating your ass? Was that effective? Was that helpful? But you stopped doing that to a degree. You stopped doing that. So why, in some capacities of your life, did you catch whatever the change is societally? But like this area in particular is one where you didn't. But yes, I mean, even to this day, but I would argue differently. I was working my ass off in my 30s. I think at one time I had 5 jobs all at the same time, which I've always padded my resume in that way because, people are funny and fickle. and you might think you are an amazing employee, but for whatever reason, somebody's son, grandson, niece, daughter, whatever comes in, and you conveniently are not as valuable anymore. So should those opportunities, which is definitely how I looked at them, but should those opportunities come up where my services are no longer needed anymore, or, I've reached a wall where you don't have any upward mobility for me in this company, so I can't be promoted to anything. I mean, unless you're leaving. I always had another job to rely on. Like, I wasn't dependent on a single job for my livelihood. And just because of how expensive things were, but then also personally, I have no idea what it is that I want to do. And despite my exposure to things growing up, that still was not the fullness of the world. So I have a lot of jobs to cover a lot of bases. I might be interested in the optics of the healthcare industry. So I get a job working in a hospital, and I figure out whether I do or don't like how this all works. I have an interest in politics and local government. I'll get a job working in some aspect of the local political arena, just to see if I have an interest in this thing. How long standing is my interest? Is it momentary? And I get a couple checks out of this thing, get a little bit of information about it, or is this something that adds to my career skill set because I learn how to wield a tool, a way to write, things of that nature. So I've always made a point to diversify, and you get caught up in having access to all of that. I started working when I was 12, not out of necessity or anything like that, but there was a program here in Detroit called Compact when you were in high school. And my principal preferred me. And I didn't even know she was paying attention to me like that, but apparently she was. But she had recommended me for the program. And it took off from there. So my first job was a pediatric education intern at Children's Hospital of Michigan. I dressed up for work. I had a desk. And I worked alongside, I forget exactly what Diane's title was at the time. A different Diane, by the way. But I forget what her title was. But I know she was the chief. And I would go to meetings with her and other doctors in that particular unit when she made rounds to visit children in their rooms to talk about their situations. Like, I accompanied her. No surgeries or anything like that. But this was definitely to us more on the information and numbers side of things, figure out through, assessment and interviews and evaluations what was going on with the youth that were in our unit, sort of translate that back to the actual physicians. But then we also did fun things. There was an event called Paint the Town, and we would offer what is that called? Maybe like home renovation services to seniors, updating the exterior of their homes with fresh paint, peeling off the old paint, things like that. Not full on real renovations, but beautifying the exterior, plants and things like that. I think that was the biggest event that I had done during my time there, because that program ran from like June to August, something. And I did so well, and they really liked me, and I had a really great rapport with the ladies in that office that, they asked for me back. But at that time, they were moving from their location actually inside of Children's Hospital to the new development. For those of you who live in Detroit, I forget the name of the building, but it's right at Woodward and MLK. So they moved there, so I got a chance, not for long though, but I got a chance to go over there and work with them in the new space and see them after the move. So that was very nice. But that's kind of where I got bit with the bug that I enjoyed working, and then having the fuel of suggesting that my productivity made me okay came from there. It was because I liked to work that I could be, I don't want to say manipulated, but definitely I was about to say coerced, but definitely convinced easily. Like I knew based on the tone that the advice I was being given was fucking terrible, but it kept me doing the things that I enjoyed. For a period of time, work was enjoyable, and then it stopped being as fun, and that's where the mental health concerns came into play. So, like for instance, I remember I was working in local government, and the official that I was working for, she has a number of appointees, and a good portion of the appointees are her friends. But one in particular, who was an interior designer, we were in a meeting, and I had said, I forget exactly what we were talking about, but I had said something to the effect of, like, I like to have fun at work. That makes all of this doable, because I am enjoying doing it. If I don't enjoy doing it, like, what the fuck am I doing here? You can find somebody else to press a button, to pull a lever, to move a box. It doesn't have to be me, but I have to actually enjoy what it is that I was doing. And she was just like, no. And I'm like, well, don't get me wrong, but you seem pretty stressed out about your work. It is a task that you have to engage yourself in order to do. My work, I know how to do. I don't have to. I can have an upset stomach and still do the shit that I have to do. Like, I don't have to engage the cells in my body to be happy in order to do the work. But if I am happy, I enjoy doing it. Like, my skill set is not my armor. Like, it's sort of an internal thing. Like, you have to arm yourself, to produce in the way that you need to produce. But mine is, it's in my brain. Like, I just know how to do these things. Because they did not provide training. I want that to be very fucking clear. They had an expectation of service, but they didn't actually provide it. But a number of instances, once again, where people of a certain age, and quite honestly, in my case, a certain race, who had an expectation of me without training, without prompting, that they just expected something of me. And that, over time, really began to like really, really wear me down. I don't understand. And I wrote a blog post about it recently on the website, because there's something about me and specifically black women of a certain age, but I don't know what it is. I do not want what you have. I am not interested in any way, shape, or form, but they aggress upon me like this world is not what this world is. I exhibit a fair amount of restraint, but if you keep fucking with me, the way I'm going to hurt your feelings will surprise even Jesus. So you should get your shit together. You really should. Because one, it isn't necessary, and I'm not really the right person to pick on, because I am quite violent. And mainly because of time. I don't get on everybody in the moment just because I'm busy. I have 4 jobs. I have a business. I'm writing. I just got other things that I'm working on. But please don't think that I forgot, because I didn't. That's sort of another thing specific to my own mental health and productivity. And it could easily be a black thing more than anything, but people think because time has passed that you don't remember it. I do. I didn't forget. I don't care how long it's been. Disrespect is disrespect. An offense is an offense. I may not talk about it again because I've said everything that I had intended to say. There are no new words for this level of disrespect. But please believe I didn't forget. And I always get my lick back. Sometimes it isn't even me that does it. Sometimes because of how you are in life, life has more on you than I do, and life will get you. And life's response to your bullshit satisfies me. I didn't have to do anything. Oh, I'm keen for that. Now, specific to the points that you brought out, Rosa, I have never experienced postpartum specifically, but that shame for struggling, I have definitely been in that position where I have very much dealt with shame because I just happened to be going through something, because it was never shared how necessary struggle is for things. Now, does struggle have to feel as badly as it has felt? I'll give you 50-50 on that. It depends. But I would also argue, because of how you are raised, if you are not taught to deal with down moments and struggling and things just not working out despite the plan, like, life is going to feel even harder than it actually is, because you don't know how to deal with starting over, which I've had to start over a number of times. Even experienced a bout of being unhoused for about 8 months. But I didn't, and you could easily say, well, I wouldn't say that it was out of shame, but it was because I could get myself out of it. I mean, I got myself into it, and I could get myself out of it, that I didn't necessarily. I reached out for help, I guess professionally, through, services and programs, but I didn't like ask my family or anything for help because, no offense, I'm cool. I'm cool. I got it. Don't worry about it. But struggling is okay. I think, quite honestly, struggling is what builds character. You get to test the bounds of your information and your resources. If you've never had the benefit of, making use of Focus Hope services, and I wasn't unhoused in Michigan. I was out of the state, but making use of Focus Hope services, if you've never had a can that was just labeled beef in your life, like, things are going to be hard for you. I don't know what you're going to do, but things are going to be hard for you. But if you've never opened a solid aluminum can with the word beef on it and a vector illustration of a cow, or had cheese come in a block, like, I have no idea what the fuck you're going to do. And then especially with your boy in the White House, like, if you've never been there, like, times are going to be hard for you. I fully see Black people thriving through this presidency, even the ones who voted for, him because they hate themselves. But I still see, like, all the people with a sense, specifically those that are Black, are going to be fine. We know struggle. We know how to deal. We're going to be okay. So even despite things being terrible, absolutely terrible, we're going to be fine. So, as a side note, if you're not cool with Black people, if you do not have any Black friends, I'm sorry, the line is closed. We're not accepting new applications. So, Godspeed. I'll pray for the world as a whole. Whatever's supposed to reach you, I hope it reaches you. But to your point, Rose, about your mother, your grandmother, and your therapist who, actually saw you, I was very fortunate for all of my life, really, but definitely in my 30s, encountering people who were not blood, who could see not just potential, but who I actually was, who didn't hear things and run with it, disrespect me behind my back like I wasn't aware of it while smiling in my face, but who actually understood who I was. I've known some people over 30 years. We have never fallen out about anything because we've always just been real with each other. And then there are people, to a degree, that I've known that same amount of time who have done nothing but disrespect me and wonder why I don't fuck with them, family included. And it's crazy. It's crazy. But when you really do find people who don't look through you and actually see you, it really does make a difference. And that's, I really like your point, specifically about anxiety and hiding behind achievement. And in the moment, I probably would disagree that I was hiding behind achievement, in so much as just I was achieving success, I guess, more than I had time to process things. Like, I don't work as much as I do to avoid dealing with things. It's because I have to work as much as I do to have things to worry about. Things are expensive, and no offense, I've been unhoused before. And while I think I did it in a really great way, like, not to say that I would do it again, but like, I made that shit look good. So, but I think that's a testament to my diligence, my work ethic, how low I am, how low I can go and still get things done. Like burnout is real. And I know I have definitely had several bouts of burnout, probably overlapping. That I won't say I pushed through, but I am someone who vacations, whether that's a cruise, whether that's just going someplace locally like a Chicago or a Pittsburgh. If you haven't been to Pittsburgh, you really should go. If you're black, you really should go. And if you don't know what to do, if you go there, I'm a travel agent on the side. Call me. I'll tell you. It's not like Atlanta black ass, but it's a fun, cool place to go. Specifically, anywhere, but specifically if you live in Detroit, because I'm a big fan of, road trips and other trips that are under 4 hours, a reasonable excursion that you can physically get to, enjoy yourself, whether you do it as a one day or stay overnight or for the weekend and then come back or longer. I recommend a number of things for you to do. But anyway, I am one who travels. So traveling is my best form of self-care and my own personal therapy, because I would much rather, and nothing, I saw a clip recently about the difference between a vacation and a family trip, and that shit tripped me out. But I take vacations. Don't get me wrong, I have had family trips and I have enjoyed them, but they are very much different than vacations. When I take a vacation, I am very much stress-free. I have planned everything out to a T. So at this point, all I'm doing is getting to the airport and essentially being catered throughout the process. But a family trip, I have to work because don't nobody know nothing. Ain't nobody looked at nothing. Like Robert has all the answers. Don't nobody know how to do nothing. Everybody can't read no more. Don't nobody know how to walk no more. It's fucking crazy. Family trips, far more stressful. Do I still enjoy them? To a degree. It depends on where we're going. If we're going to Chicago to see a play, I enjoy it. If we're going to Alaska, look now. Come on now. Come on. We got to cut the shit at some point. We have to cut the shit at some point. Something has to give. But I'm going to extend grace. But I'm going to take a trip by myself to make up for the headache that you all have caused me. But my self-care, for the most part, really lends itself to the things that I like to do. So separate from work, separate from all of my, I'll say, responsibilities and whatnot. Going to the movies, it's the one place where everybody has to shut the fuck up. So I really love movies. Sitting in the dark, because light is very intrusive to me. I have astigmatism, so that's kind of it. But then just also light hurts sometimes, especially when I am irritated. It is painful. So it is something about sitting in an extremely dark room, no windows. Everybody's attention is on the same thing. Like, for me, that's a very unifying experience. So I really enjoy going to see films in the theater for that reason. Same thing for plays and other shows like that. Something that stops everybody at the same time and focuses our attention on one thing. I will say, and again, no disrespect to the lives that were lost, but like I personally enjoyed in my own bubble the peace that the pandemic brought. I have always thought that, well, not necessarily a pandemic, but if there was some way to just stop us all from moving, because this need to just keep going and doing is fucking terrible. And I appreciated the fact that we all had to stop for a minute. People were told to not go outside. Some of you niggas don't need to be outside anyway, and for that I make no apologies. You ain't got no money. You can't move on your own, and everything you do is dependent on another person. Stay your ass at home. Why are you outside at all? The streets are not calling your name, nigga. They're calling mine. But that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. But I really do believe, as you mentioned, Tay, about that, giving yourself permission to pause. Sometimes you have to stop. You have to stop. I don't care what's happening. I don't care who's outside. You just have to stop. That's the only way you're going to take that second. Like, I have to remind myself. I think about this all the time when I'm driving home from work. Sometimes I blink and I'm at home. I have missed the whole Right. That's how common the route that I am taking home is. Like, on a cellular level, I know how to do it without actively paying attention, which is crazy, but I know how to do it without actively paying attention. But I would much rather savor the route home, savor every song that plays, because when I get home, I have to switch gears. I got two irritating ass girls that I have to take care of. I got a house. I got neighbors that irritate the skin off my ass. So I have to switch gears. I have to come out of being a professional and switch into, you know, a current personal mode. Because again, I have other things that I have to take care of. So all of those in between moments, to acknowledge, what it is I have done, what it is I'm about to do, and just to savor some peace in between are big. And then what I really, really, really liked, that rest isn't earned, it's essential. Now, I wish, corporations could or would understand that, because I remember when I was working in local government, and I just talk. I'm not bragging. I am sharing how feasible and possible these things are. When I take a trip, it's not because I'm rich, but it is because I planned. Like, all I did was look it up. Did I pay top dollar for any of these things? Fuck no. No, not at all. But did I actually plan it? Yeah. Whatever the budget is, which is what my actual first book was about, $100 Ventures Travel Tips for the Budget-Friendly Novice. Whatever the budget is, you can find some place to go. You can have fun. Will that always be in the location that you want it to be in? No. But will you still have fun? Will it still be a beach? Will it still be? Yeah, there's a way to do it. So I have kind of built my life on figuring out, how can I do all the things that I want to do? I'm going to say within reason. And whatever that reason is, whether that reason is financially, or maybe I don't have 14 days to do it, I have 6. How can I have a 14-day experience in 6 days? How can I have a $3,000 trip on $300? I mean, it's doable. You have to, but the traveler like I am for the most part, except when my family decide they're coming with me. Hostels can be great. Now, are all of them great? No. But are there some amazing ones? Yes. Do I know what they are? Yes. I could tell you more. I could tell you more about that. And actually, I don't think I'm going to announce it on this show, but if you follow us on any of the socials, you'll hear about something coming this summer. And on that thing, we can talk more about it. But anyway, learning how essential rest is. Like, in my 30s, I definitely did not. I let people run me ragged, mainly based on the things that they were saying about my needing rest. And not the old adage that you see in, like, maybe TV shows where old people don't understand the struggles of young people. And back in my day, we walked to school with no shoes on. Yeah, bitch, that was back in your day. But since then, we've paved roads. You know that wheel thing? Yeah, they put that shit on cars, planes, trains, buses. We have other ways to get somewhere without that struggle. I don't have to walk 1,000 miles to and from school. Let's celebrate that. No? No? Okay. That's cool. But again, giving yourself permission to pause is everything. And I will say that I came to that lesson a little bit earlier. Definitely while still in my 30s, but a little bit earlier. But it was at a time where, specific to the circles that I was in, I had to convince these things. I had to convince people of these things. My grandmother used to say, and I've since adopted the quote in her absence, give time. A task that takes 5 minutes takes 5 minutes. Yeah, you can do it in 3, but you'll soon find out why you needed those other 2 minutes. You have to give time. So sometimes I know things before other people. So it isn't true in the moment that I told you because you don't know it yet. Then it becomes true. And not that I need any credit, but we can't dismiss the fact that I was wrong and I was this just because you didn't know it yet. I think that's a great place to stop. We're going to go ahead and take a break. We'll be right back.
This is Woodsy. Not just a brand, a movement, a mindset, a mirror, a place where community meets creativity, where healing meets hustle, and where unapologetic Black excellence gets to speak loud, clear, and free. We build workshops that grow the soul. We tell stories that shift the culture. We host spaces that hold all of you no code switching required. If you ever felt too much, not enough, or stuck in between, Woodsy was built for you. This is radical rest. This is real talk. This is creative power, reimagined. Woodsy. Rooted in truth. Rising in power. Learn more at woodsy.llc and join the journey.
All right, welcome back. Let's talk redefining self-care in your 30s. So let me ask this. What self-care practices have become non-negotiable in your 30s?
Journaling, breath work, disconnecting from social media, but also letting people care for me. That's self-care too.
Therapy, music, and saying no without guilt. My therapist told me, every yes without a boundary is a self-betrayal. That stuck.
Movement, sleep, forgiveness, and something simple but powerful, honest check-ins with my people. Not just how are you, but how is your spirit?
I can say from personal experience that each of those is good. I was not big into journaling, Rosa, but I did write. So I'm gonna count that, and I didn't expressly write about what it is I was going through, or how I felt about anything per se. But I definitely used creativity as an outlet, although I'm not necessarily the most creative person. I know in school I was not. I remember art classes, and one time going to a Considine Recreation Center and taking a pottery class where I made a baseball glove and a ball that I painted orange. Mind your business. I felt the judgment, but I err on the side of creativity. Thus, this podcast and other things like this, videos and other things like that. But yes, journaling, breath work, disconnecting from social media, which I have a very love-hate relationship with, as I attempted to disconnect from social media a number of times. I think my longest was for a year, but then I, of course, took a job that required being on social media. So, of course, I had to reactivate my profile to manage the other pages and profiles that I manage even to this day. But those are really good. Yes, therapy, number one. For those that can't afford it, I will also say if you cannot afford therapy, depending on the type of friends that you have, it's not necessarily a dumping ground, but definitely having a space where you can vent, get, the feelings and thoughts out of yourself is super helpful. I mean, it's definitely nice to have someone offer solutions as well if you are open to solutions, but sometimes it really is just the dumping of that information, getting it out and off of you. But that number two, music, is probably my favorite. As much music is released throughout the year, I am very much a nostalgic person, which I believe I've mentioned on the cast before. So I have my 7 to 9 songs that after I have, listened to whatever new album one of my favorite artists has released, I'm definitely going back to these 7 to 9 songs just because of where they allow me to be. But that last one, saying no without guilt, is one that I have struggled with. I have boundaries. I do. And I don't feel that I negate my boundaries, but I do care a little too much just about people's well-being. And I think that stems a lot from being the oldest child, I wasn't given the deference of choice. So I like to make sure other people have choices, that it isn't just because I said so or because you are a child, which I think are terrible situations for anyone to find themselves in, specifically children, because it doesn't explain anything. And I just personally believe that children have choice. They are not obligated to do something just because you and somebody whom you're not married to anymore had sex. I think that's crazy. But your point specifically about, every yes without a boundary is self-betrayal, I think it's true. I personally will agree with that. And that boundaries are important. And I'd love to, I don't have the time right now, but I'd love to, maybe in the future, really talk about establishing boundaries, because I know in my own therapy sessions, my therapist has provided a lot of worksheets that I use for self-work on boundaries, because some people I don't have an issue with establishing boundaries, but other people, as of recent, siblings, while I do not feel guilt, I don't know. I know what someone in need sounds like. And it's less about the fact that, I have it and can do it. In so much as, like, I am not necessarily one who will ask additional questions about your situation, because I can hear your situation. And I know in most cases, you wouldn't have come to me if you could do it. So I know the only reason you're here is because you can't do it. But, nigga, every week you can't do it? Like, I feel like that's opportunity for reassessment. The shit you try to do is not shit you should be doing because you can't do it. It sounds like we're doing it. And that's no shit I want to do. But I hear you. But Dr. Kelly, I'm all down for movement and forgiveness, but that one in the middle is my personal favorite, sleep. The way I will come home now, because I think I mentioned this on the podcast before. I follow well, to the best of my ability, I follow the $1 Million Days. So it's if you, I mean, you can Google it. There are iterations of it as far as how you start your morning, how you start your evening, what time it ends when you go to bed, and all that jazz. But sleep. If I have served the world in an extreme capacity, I am home. I've taken care of the girls. They're good. Whatever my evening looks like, if I don't have an event to go to or anything like that, and I could just chill, the way that I will allow myself to go to sleep. I'm not staying up to 3 o'clock in the morning scrolling. I don't give a shit about what y'all are talking about. I'm going to get sleep so that I can fully recharge and be of use to myself the following day. Lord willing, I wake up. But that sleep is important. But I really, your last point truly resonates with me about honest check-ins with my people. And I find that while my circle is small, which I think is on purpose, although sometimes I not really regret that, but I am just aware of how small my circle is. But those honest check-ins are super important. Going out, something simple. People think that my tastes are extravagant, but they are not. I'm definitely down for a margarita and a taco at any point in time. And just talking about something, nothing, everything for a number of hours, and letting that easily and honestly be fuel for me, because you don't always have time to decompress or debrief when something happens. We have kind of been conditioned to just keep going. So I am always down for a taco and a margarita. Okay, whether those are made at home, whether we are going to Southwest Detroit to go to Mexican Town, or someplace in between, like a Bakersfield, I'm always down. Okay, for everybody that's listening. Oh, Robert's birthday is coming up. I don't know what to get him. Margaritas and tacos. You will never fail me. Come on, somebody. With a margarita and a taco, you will never fail me. Especially if jalapeno is in either a pineapple jalapeno margarita or there are jalapenos in the taco, you will never fail me ever. So keep that in mind. So let's double down on that. How do you maintain a healthy work-life balance now.
I build unscheduled time into my calendar like a meeting. If it's not protected, someone else will take it.
I honor my rhythms now. If I need to rest on a Tuesday at 2 p.m., I don't shame myself for it. I adapt.
Boundaries. And reminders that productivity isn't proof of my worth.
Those are all very solid answers. Thank you. It depends on who you ask. um, but in the vein of work-life balance, you might find some who don't know how I get it all done, don't know to what degree this is what balance looks like. But I will say, Tay, your point about unscheduled time, I do that. I forget exactly where I have it from, but there are 7 events that are on my calendar that include, 24 hours without social media, lunch with a friend, movie day. I'm drawing a blank on the other 4 right now. I'm sorry. But there are 7 events that are on my calendar that, for the most part, they have the same times, like, the first Tuesday of the month, the second Friday of the month, the third Wednesday, where I have these very specific events so that in a month I will have accomplished these things, not with everybody who wants these things, but, I try to rotate specifically the lunch with a friend, so that I can keep in touch with people as best I can. And if for whatever reason I can't physically do the lunch, just because I just might have something else that I have given higher priority to, I'll call somebody. So I remember one day in particular, I called she's my cousin's wife, but she's my cousin, and I called her, and she was surprised by the call because I had not called her. I'm not much of a phone call person. I'd much rather, if I'm going to talk to you in person, than over the phone, just because I don't want to hear you shitting and washing dishes in the background. I have no interest in hearing that. I don't know how you feel about it, but I hate that. But people do it to me all the time, and I let it go because it's not a deal breaker, but it's just like, didn't you call me? You called me to take a shit on the phone? You thought, okay. So, you could easily not, but you did. So that's cool. Just remember to wipe and wash your hands. Because I will call you out on the phone if I don't hear the water running, but I heard you turn that motherfucking faucet on and get that goddamn soap, okay? And I want to hear you sing your ABC so I know that you've cleaned your hands properly, you nasty bitch. But yes, building that unscheduled time into the calendar, I definitely support that because I do that right now. That has been a practice. I think I've intentionally done it the last year and a half. So what was that? Or maybe 2 years. So like the end of my 30s, into my 40s, and now approaching 41. So Rosa, that what did you say? If I need rest on a Tuesday at 2 p.m., I don't shame myself for it. Smart. Because the way I will either pass on lunch or whatever. My schedule is actually slightly more open than most. But yes, if I need a 15-minute nap, or else what might be perceived as being very curt, it's gonna be even worse than that. I'm gonna take that. Gone are the days of feeling badly about needing to shut my eyes for a second because either I was not able to sleep the night prior, or I didn't get enough rest, usually for things that are very much out of my control. But yes, if I need a nap, I'm going to take that nap, because if I don't take that nap, you are going to take a nap with Jesus. And some of you are not ready to take a nap with Jesus. So let me get this tight 15 and I'll be back with you. Has saved many lives, whether people choose to acknowledge it or not. And the Dr. Kelly, yes, boundaries. Again, like I mentioned earlier, like I am definitely working on boundaries. I have a grip on them when it's not, a needs-based situation, because I'm good for telling the nigga no. Now, for full transparency, my first words as a child, my literal first word was no. So I've had a grip on that shit since day one. But some people, especially those that I care about, again, I care too much. So while it is a boundary, it is a flexible boundary. And I am definitely working on it not being so flexible. And it isn't because I think, if I say no, they're never going to talk to me again, because especially if they're asking me for money, I'd much rather you didn't. But it's for people who I know don't have my capacity. Like, money loves me. Money will find me. Even in the situation I mentioned earlier about being unhoused for a period of time, like, I was working at that time, which is very much crazy to hear. But the cost of living was too much. And at that point, I was noticing people who had like much bigger jobs than the one that I had. They were living in their very nice cars on the side of the road by Union Station. So it's like, wait, the fuck? I mean, they were definitely onto something a lot better than what I was on, but still, I don't think anybody approaches that choice lightly. But definitely, making my boundaries less flexible, and understanding that while painful, the no is mutually beneficial to me, in that I am firm and resolute in my decision. But also, hopefully, I don't think everyone will receive it this way in the moment, but helping people understand that everything isn't always as easy as asking somebody for help. Sometimes you are your help. We are conditioned through media to believe that there is someone that has the capacity to save us. But sometimes the other person that we think we're seeing is our reflection. It's us. Like, we can do it. Shit is bad. Shit will continue to be bad. So it's better to develop a skill set that helps you deal with the bad things than just always asking somebody else for help. But there's nothing wrong with asking somebody for help. But sometimes the help does not come in the form or fashion that you want it to come. And that's okay. I did want to say, personally, I won't say that I struggle with work-life balance, but I am actively working on making sure that my life isn't only work. That work isn't my life. And specifically in my 30s, work was definitely my life. And I am gonna cop out and say, not by my choice. The types of positions that I held were positions where, my circumstances made it easy for me to get them and keep them. Unmarried, no children, intelligent, they were gung-ho to take all of my time and pay me, not handsomely, but pay me for the time that they were taking from me. But after a while, it was just like, mind you, I was still I was still living a life that even the people who were making requests of my time were not living. So as all the places that I've been in my life thus far, as far as traveling specifically, and I'll make it exclusively about travel, they have not been to. For me, no, it makes entirely no sense to waste my youth in service to other people, to spend my senior years trying to travel and not experiencing anything. I don't want to zip line when I'm 60 years old. What the fuck are you talking about? I want to sit down, but I want to sit down and be able to regale people with stories of when I did go ziplining, when I did go to Alaska, when I did take a cruise to Africa, when I did, I think that's how we're supposed to do this. But living to work only to be old and, granted, have the money and time to physically go places for leisure and not be able to do anything fun. All of my excursions are seated. The fuck out of here. I'm walking everywhere. I want these feet to, they were already hurting, but I don't want these feet to hurt at the end of all of this, because I have truly covered every inch of this place. So I can leave here comfortably. I'm not looking to be buried, but when we get to the end of this ride, at that memorial service where that poster board picture of me is up, it'll be a line of people waiting to get up and share 2 minutes, no more than 2 minutes, or we're shutting the mic off. But a 2-minute story of me in life. Like, I think that's fair. I think that's absolutely fair. But yeah, I think this is a good spot for a break. So, next up, we'll be back with the mental health myths we're done with. We'll be right back.
At Woodsy, we don't just write books. With the help of our publishing house, Hazelwood Press, we release blueprints. We print power. We publish purpose. From self-help to soul work, essays to exploration, we're celebrating new releases, timeless re-releases, and this October, our very first novel, Bedlam, drops. Stories that shift culture. Books that build legacy. Voices that deserve to be heard. Got a book in you? Want to tell your story your way? Let's make it real. Visit woodsy.llc to learn more about our publishing support, author services, and how to join our growing community of storytellers. Woodsy, rooted in truth, rising in power, writing the next chapter with you.
All right, welcome back. So let's bust some myths while we're here. What mental health misconceptions do you want to address and bury?
That therapy is only for crises. You don't have to be broken to benefit. You just have to be willing to grow.
A word. All right, go ahead.
That self-care is all bubble baths and crystals. Sometimes self-care is drinking water, fighting paperwork, saying no to people you love.
That high-functioning people are healthy. I looked fine while I was falling apart.
I feel attacked. No, yes. All of these are very great. I don't know that I have any mental health misconceptions. But yes, therapy is not only for those in crises. Sometimes it's just having a professional to speak to. To the point I made earlier about, if you can't afford therapy, talking to your friends. In most cases, generally for the sake of venting, that is perfectly fine. But some of the tools, especially as things evolve in our modern times, if you're the smartest person in your friend group, some people say that you need a new friend group. I wouldn't say that you need a new friend group, but I would find opportunities to bring new people into this group because elevation is for everybody. And I never want to be in a position where I am always around like-minded people, which doesn't suggest that I want to be around people who don't think the way that I do. But, perception is something, and having more information helps you perceive things differently. In most cases for the better, but always differently, just to be able to say, oh, I didn't know that then, I know that now, and armed with this information, I can see things better. But I really liked, and I'm going to steal this, you don't have to be broken to benefit, which is great, because therapy isn't always to suggest that something is wrong, but self-work is always important. You always want to work on yourself to be better, even if only for your own sake. It doesn't mean that you're broken. You just always want to be better. I really love what you said, Rosa, about self-care not being, all bubble baths and crystals. Let's chill out on my crystal, folks. I have some crystals too. We won't discuss it. But understanding that, yes, for those of you who are not drinking water, you're wondering why your piss smells like ammonia and bleach. Boom. Let's work on that, right? Let's work on that. If you are not handling business, that's what I'm taking from the filing paperwork. Self-care is handling whatever that business is. If you need to get down to the bank to take care of something, but you keep not doing that thing and also dodging their phone calls, whose fault is that? You have to do what's necessary to handle that business. So that's very important. And then also about saying no to people you love and being comfortable. Those are the people you should be telling no to the most because they are constantly in your face for a variety of things. No, I'm not going to be able to do that. And not making a whole conversation or a spiel about it, breaking down your whole calendar and your responsibilities. Just, no. Can you come? No. Will you? No. And leaving it at that, moving on. And then, Tate, I wrote this down while you were talking, that high-functioning people are healthy because they are not. They definitely have the rhythm of completing a task at all costs, but those costs are generally always too high. And what did you say? You looked fine while you were falling apart. And especially when people are so used to using you that they don't even see the cracks, but they know like their needs are met. You help them find, you help them see, you help them locate, you help them get. But it was at a cost to your existence, your being, your humanity. That was very good. And these misconceptions right here, is why we talk about it. So we're not falling apart in silence. Now, for me, I don't know that I have any mental health misconceptions, but I will recall a time during a period of being unhoused myself, again, not in Michigan. I was not living in Michigan at the time. When I had sought services, everything was connected to people who had mental health issues. Like there was just no understanding that people could be in situations of not having enough for housing, but not having anything mentally wrong with them. They could easily be people who were working and had decent jobs, but the money just kept them in the cycle of always having to work. Like they were never able to not work or to be off from work. They always had to work because the check, literally to the penny, covered the bill for life as far as, the living expenses and whatnot. And I just remember going to one place, so much so that I ended up, I wasn't even an actual, I guess, client for long, before I was in a position where I was helping people in the space that I came to for help, which generally happens to me. But I think, in our, the infrastructure of our service providers, the actual circumstance is never, or at least in modern times, is not isolated. Because when you think of, and I only say unhoused because I was on a board, and right around the time the word, or the focus for the word changed from being homeless to being unhoused, which solves nothing at all. And I've never heard any homeless person say that they are unhoused. But again, conditioned learning. But moving on, that everybody who was experiencing homelessness was somehow mentally unstable, which was not the case. But for those that were, it seemed like a lot of resources opened up to them. And not that that's wrong, because definitely if you were unhoused, mentally unstable, you should be provided a number of resources. But I think the same weight and brevity of resources should be made available to you, even if you just cannot afford a place to stay, just because of how expensive everything is. Because how is somebody who's making $5 more than me in a position to exude luxury just because they're making $5 more than me? I remember separately from that same instance, but separately from that, I had applied for a job at a hotel. It was a brand new hotel by the water. And I will never forget this because I've never had such an unprofessional work experience ever, especially in food service. Like, I mean, if you've ever seen the movie Waiting, which is one of my favorite movies about the service industry, you can understand how bad it could be. And this was nowhere near that. But I remember I had gone in for the interview. It was kind of a shit interview. I mean, I was going to get the job, obviously. Or maybe not obvious to you, but it was obvious. I was going to get the job, but they were not prepared for people. So I had gotten my uniform. I had come in to work for like a whole week. And for a whole week, I sat at the bar because nobody was ready to receive me. Now, other people might have been like, sounds like a cake gig to me. Just sit at the bar, talking to people all day for my entire shift. Nobody ever came to get me. I did not serve a customer. I did not learn a menu. I did not do anything. Nothing. They just had me dressed and physically there, but doing nothing. Papa don't do that. Sorry. I came to work. Let me fucking work. Or at least let me train and do something. When I say I didn't watch a video, I didn't do anything. Now, don't get me wrong. I got a check, and that check was nice, and that check was definitely helpful. But the level of effort that I had to exude in order to physically get to work, I just felt like I could be doing more. Like I felt guilty for like not doing anything, and for them not having anything for me to do. But again, in that specific moment, I was very much a high functioning person, so I felt very useless in the space because there literally was nothing for me to do. And granted, they wanted to pay me. I ended up, leaving the job. And they paid me out, not just for the time that I had worked, but I guess for, I think my training period was supposed to be like 3 weeks or something like that. And I promise y'all, I only worked like barely a week, but they paid me out for the full 3 weeks. And then they did not charge me for my uniform. And I don't know if that was a clerical error, but I still own those jeans to this. They were some really nice jeans. They were Levi's. Like, who the fuck has a uniform, buys their staff, like shut up. So, but I still have those jeans to this day. I know I was definitely high functioning at that point, and I just felt so useless. That was I definitely could have received that in a different way. I probably still would not have worked there for long. I talk about wanting to return to the service industry because I like the tips or whatever, but that ain't no shit I want to say. I did that. I did that. And it was fun when y'all had money. It was fun. But y'all don't have any money anymore. And I'm not much in the way of a shucker or a jiver, so I'm not about to do all of that shit for $20. For a table of how many? Fuck all y'all. I'm gonna be out of here. But I say that to say, time out for falling apart in silence. Which is not not specifically about being 30 at all, because I know a number of people who are suffering in silence. Being the first person to go to, if not graduate from college, like that feels like a lot of pressure. But the degrees that I've gotten, because I was very clear. I may not have had the language for it, or I believed in the hierarchy of parent-child. I don't so much believe in it anymore. But I'm the one that has to do the work. You telling me you want me to go on all this other stuff, you haven't paid for anything. You don't have a say in this at all. I really want you to stop fucking talking. When you have done what I have done, then by all means you can carry the torch and light the way. But if you have not done it, that counsel is useless to me. I am on a track that no one in my family has done. Nobody in my family has a PhD. No one in my family is aspiring to do that. Like, I am on a track all my own. I had a vision and a dream for this all my own. So I am very much in extremely uncharted territory. So I am having to find mentors, which I do not have one, for this track. I have a mentor in other professional capacities, but not specifically for this track. There are people that I talk to frequently, but they are not guiding this process in the way that I am accustomed or familiar with a mentor doing. Not even my advisor, but I'm not even going to bring that up on this particular podcast, because that motherfucker. But anyway, focus, nigga. So, understanding that, we each specifically, have a vision. I am no longer suffering in silence about anything. If I don't feel you are qualified to guide me in any way, shape, or form on whatever journey that it is that I'm on specifically, like, I will stop you. I have stopped people. You are not doing the shit I'm trying to do. You have never been here before. So, no offense, I don't need half a dozen I don't need. I know those quotes work for some people, but that's not no helpful shit to me. I need to know specifically where to find the key. Where is the keyhole? And which way do I turn the key? Which way is this, a push or a pull door? Like, I need like that type of information. So if you don't have the capacity to do that, I am not going to let you sit in my face and waste my time. But that is my active form of not literally sitting someplace in silence while people are either ignoring me, actively not helping me, or otherwise hurting me. That is how I protect my peace. That is how I establish my existence in a space. I am outspoken when I need to be, but I'm also a great listener. And sometimes the foolishness of a space reveals itself. I don't have to participate. You will, and you're trying to clown me or disrespect me, you will prove yourself to be a fool. Because while you are going out of your way to hurt my feelings, like, I got a flight booked, I have a trip planned, somebody just bought me dinner, somebody's taking me out, I just won an award. Like, I am out here doing well and right in the world. How dare I let somebody come in who is not on this path, doesn't even know what to do with the shit that it is that I'm working on and doing, stop me from doing the things that it is that I'm doing. That's crazy. You know what? I think this is a good spot for our last break. We'll be right back.
Ever wanted to build new skills on your time, your terms, your vibe? Say less. Woodsy workshops are finally here. From creative storytelling to real-life skill building, Woodsy is your new home for bold, unapologetic learning. Our flagship series, Kiss My Ass, Unsolicited Advice for the Soul and the Systems, is now live. This ain't your average course. We're talking truth-telling, self-reflection, and designed to shake the table and set it. And soon, our Woodsy Journalism Project drops made for truth seekers, culture shifters, and everyday storytellers ready to use their voice with purpose. Whether you're leveling up, healing forward, or just curious to try something new, Woodsy has a workshop for you. Visit www.woodsy LLC to explore, enroll, and evolve. Woodsy, where soul meets skill.
All right, welcome back. All right, to everyone listening, whether you're deep in healing, on the edge of a burnout, or somewhere in between, this is a reminder that wellness is non-negotiable. Take your meds, cancel the plans, go to therapy, drink water, sit in the sun, say no and mean it. Fuck them kids. Oh wait, no. We love the kids. I'm sorry. You don't have to prove your worth to deserve your peace. I'll say that again. You don't have to prove your worth to deserve your peace. All right, y'all. This has been Talk 30 to me, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.